क्लास 8 का 10th चैप्टर रीचिंग द एज ऑफ एडोलसेंस. In the previous chapter, you have learned how animals reproduce. It only after growing up to certain age that human beings and many other animals can produce. Why can human reproduce only after the certain age? In this chapter, you will learn about changes that take place in human body after which a person becomes capable of reproduction. Chapter 9 you have learned about human reproduction. We also discuss the role of the hormones play in bringing about changes that take a children grow into an adults. Adolescence and puberty. Bujoj was Bujoj was celebrating in 12th birthday after parents left. Pahli began chatting with her parents. Pahli studied the all girls school studies laughing. She remarked that many Bujo's school friends whom she met after a year had suddenly shot up in height, and some of them were looking very funny with a hairy line above the lips. Mother explained the body had the grow up. Begins from the day one is born, but upon crossing the age of 10 and 11th. There is a sudden spot is growing which becomes noticeable. The changes taking place in the body parts of this growing indicate that you are no longer children but now are beginning adults. Growing up is a natural process, the periods of life when the body undergoes changes leading the reproduction maturity is called adolescence. Adolescence begins around the age of 11th and lasts up to 18th and 19th years of age. Since this period covers the 13th to 18 19 years 10 years भी कहते हैं उसको 10 years. Adolescents are also called teenagers. In girls, adolescence may begin in a year or two earlier than in boy. Also, the period of adolescence varies from person to person. The human body undergoes several changes during adolescence. These changes marks the onset of puberty. The most important changes which marks puberty in that the body and boy and girls become capable of reproduction. Puberty ends when the adolescents reach reproduction and maturity. Changes are changes at the puberty. Increase in height. The most conspicuous change during puberty is the sudden increase in the height. This time, long bones are arms and legs, and the elongation of the person to tall. Initially, girls grow faster than boy, but initially girl grow faster. Initially, boy at 18 years reach the both maximum height. Rate the growth of height varies different individuals. Some are suddenly puberty and the slow and violent gradually. There is no need for pahali and worry. A part of the a part of the body is not grow and the rate of sometimes the arms and legs and the hands the feet adolescents look for size of the portion of the bodies, but soon the other parts can catch the up to result of the portions of body. You have must notice that the height of the individuals is some less similar to that of some family members. This is become height depends on the genes inherited from the parents. However, the important is the right kinds of the food during the child growing years. This helps with the bones, muscles, other parts of the aquatic nourishment, growth, nutrition, adolescence, discuss the lesson. Changes in the body shape. You have noticed boy In male class, male broader shoulders and a wider chest. Wider chest. The boys in the junior class is entered the age of the puberty. So the important result growth in girls region below and the breast become wider. The boy muscles on the body grow and promiscuously than the girls. Changes occurring in the adolescence and boy and girls are different. Wise change. The notice that sometimes all the boy is classified as puberty at the vice box and the larynx begins to grow. Boy develop large vice boxes. The grow vice boxes and boys in the proportion of the throat. Called Adam's apple. Adam's apple. The girls, the larynx and hardly visible for the outside because of the small size. Generally, girls are the high pitch voice, whereas boys are the deep voice. In the adolescence voice, sometimes muscles and growing voice box is what control and the voice control the horses. This state may remain the few days weeks after some voice box hormone. Adam's apple, Adam's apple, Adam's apple. Increase activity of sweat and secretion gland. During puberty, the secretion of sweat gland, subcutaneous gland, oil gland, sebaceous gland, oil gland increase. Many young at once, few glands, sweat gland, oil gland, slurry gland, they release the secret products. Endocrine gland release hormone directly into the bloodstream through the system ductless. Endocrine gland ductless. And pimples of the face with the time because increased activity in the skin. Development of sex organs. Development of sex organs. Progress of the sex organs of human puberty. Male sex organ like the testes, penis, okay, develop completely. The testes also begin to produce sperm and girls of the ovaries enlarge and egg begins in the mature. Also ovaries start releasing the mature eggs. Reaching mental, intellectual and emotional maturity. Adolescence is also a period of changes in a person's way of thinking. Adolescents are more independent than before and are also self-conscious. Intellectual development to take place and they in of spend is considered time thinking. In fact, all the time one's life or the brain on the capability of learning. Sometimes our adolescents may feel insecure while the time to adjust to the changes in the body kind of mind. But as adolescent learner, you should know that the no reason of it mature. They changes in the natural parts of growing up. Secondary sexual characters. You have learned chapter 9. You have the testes, ovaries, and reproductive organs and develop produced gamete with the sperm and ova. Girls and breast and develop puberty. And boy begins to grow facial hair, height, and moisture improves. These features help in distinguish the female from the female. They are called secondary sexual characters. Boy also develop hair on the chest. Both boy and girls grow under the arms and the region above the things of the pubic regions. Both uses puberty. The changes which occurs at adolescence are controlled by the hormones. Hormones are chemical substances. These are secreted from endocrine gland. In endocrine system, male hormone testosterone begins to release the testes in the onset of puberty. This causes changes in boy about which you have just learned. For example, the growth of facial hair. Once puberty is reached in girls, ovaries begin produce a female hormone estrogen. The weak of the breast develops milk secretion gland, mammary gland develop inside the breast. Production of these hormones under the control of the hormone secreted from the endocrine gland, pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. Role of hormones in initial reproductive functions. Endocrine gland release hormone into the bloodstream and the particular body of the target site. The target site the response of the hormone. There are many endocrine glands, ductless glands. There are body, the testes and the ovaries secrete sex hormones. You have just learned about these hormones are responsible for the male and female secondary sexual character. Further, the sex hormones are under the control of hormones of the pituitary gland. The pituitary secretes many hormones. The one of the makes ova mature in the ovaries and the sperms form the testes. Hormones from pituitary stimulate testes, ovaries release testosterone in male, estrogen in female. Release the bloodstream and reach the parts of the body target site. Stimulates changes of the body onset of puberty. Peribuses understand puberty marks the beginning of the reproductive period and one becomes capable of the reproduction. They are during reproduction once of the beginning sometimes. Reproductive phase of the life cycle of humans. Adolescents become capable of reproduction when their testes and ovaries begin to reproduction. Gametes, the capacity of maturation and production of the gametes lasts for the much longer time in the male and female. In female reproduction phase of the begins at puberty. The several years of the age. The generally lasts till the age of approximately 40 to 50 years. The ova begins to mature the onset of puberty. The ova mature and is released by one the ovaries. Once is about 28 to 30 days. During this period, the wall of the uterus becomes thick so as the receive of the eggs. In case it is fertilized, the egg begins to develop. This results in pregnancy. If fertilization does not occur, the released egg and the thick lining of the uterus during the blood vessels to the set of the because pregnant woman. What is called maturation cycle? Maturation occurs once in about 28 to 30 days. The first maturation follows begins puberty and menarche. That the 45 inches of menstrual cycle बंद है. Maturation is termed menopause. Initial menstrual cycle may be irregular and some of the time become regular. Menstrual cycle is controlled by hormones. The cycle includes the maturation of the eggs, increase thinking the uterine wall of its breakdown of the pregnancy does not occur. In case the eggs are fertilized, the egg begin to divide it and then gets embedded in the uterus to the further development of Ncert. Girls and boys. Inside the fertilized egg or zygote is the instruction of the determine the sex. The body instruction of the present on the thread-like structure called the chromosome. Thread-like structure called the chromosome. Recall the chapter. Chromosomes are present in the nucleus. Chromosome present nucleus over every cell. In human beings, 23 pair. 23 pairs chromosome in the nucleus in the cell. The two chromosomes of the sex chromosome X and Y. A female has two chromosomes, while male and one chromosome and Y chromosome. Then the gametes X sperm. The set of chromosomes they utilize egg always one X chromosome, but But sperm are two kinds. One kind has X chromosome and the other kinds of Y chromosome. हेलो रूबी देवी जी, क्लियर नहीं दिख रहा है? हाय हाय। अब दिख रहा है ना? If when a sperm containing X chromosome fertilized the egg, the zygote would have two X chromosomes and develop into the female child. If the sperm contributes and Y chromosome to the X at fertilization, the zygote would develop inside the male child. Now you Now you know that the sex chromosome of the father determine the sex of an unborn baby. That believe the mother's explanation for the X chromosome of the heart be completely wrong and the blame of the totally injustice. Hormones other than sex hormones. Again, hormones are secreted by the pituitary stimulated testes and ovaries to produce their hormones. The You have already learned at the pituitary gland is the endocrine gland. It attached to the brain. Endocrine gland attached to the brain. Endocrine gland किससे अटैच रहता है? ब्रेन से अटैच रहता है. Apart from the pituitary, the testes and ovaries, there are other endocrine glands in the body such as thyroid, pancreas and adrenal gland. Thyroid, pancreas, adrenal gland. पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड यहाँ रहता है, पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड, थायराइड ग्लैंड यहाँ रहता है, एड्रिनल ग्लैंड यहाँ रहता है, पेनक्रियाज यहाँ पे, पोर्शन ऑफ द ओवरी फीमेल टेस्टिस यहाँ पे. वो जो पहली है and Alice and once visit their abbot who was a doctor and remembered that a boy named Kaka and had very bleeding throats. Their amount told Kaka was suffering and goiter, disease of the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland. Kaka thyroid gland was not producing and hormone thyroxine. Their amount also told them their uncles was suffering from diabetes because this pancreas was not producing the hormone insulin. The sufficient quantities बुझो पहले that ask their amount of the adrenal gland. They are also in the chart and clinic. The amount of told adrenal gland secrete hormone which maintain the correct salt balance in the blood. Adrenal also produce the hormones adrenaline. It helps the body to adjust to stress when the anger is embedded or worried. Thyroid and adrenal secrete their hormones when they receive order from the pituitary. Through the hormones, pituitary or secrete growth hormones, which necessary for the normal growth of the person. Role of hormones in the completing in the life history insects and the frogs. You have already learned the life histories. Silk moths and the frogs. Caterpillar has the two variants of the moth. Recall the stage of the history and the silk moths. Similarly, tadpole and conquer certain of them. The change of larva adults is called metamorphosis. सपना के दुनिया क्लियर नहीं दिख रहा है। अब दिख रहा है ना? अब शायद दिख रहा होगा। This changes from larva to adult in the metamorphosis. Metamorphosis कहते हैं larva से adult metamorphosis. Metamorphosis in insects control the insect hormone products and control the thyroxine hormone produced by thyroid. Thyroxine produced requires the presence of the iodine in water. But with the tadpole growing do not contain sufficient iodine, and the tadpoles cannot be become adults. Reproductive health. Reproductive health, the physical and mental well-being from individuals is regarded as an individual's has to keep the body health. Every human being at the any age needs to the balance diet. The person must also observe personal hygiene and undertake adequate physical exercise. During adolescence, however, these become even more essential as the body growing. Nutrition needs of the adolescence. Adolescence is the stage of rapid growth and development. Hence, the diet of an adolescent has to be clear, carefully planned. You have already known a balanced diet. Recall the balanced diet means is the minimum protein, carbohydrate, fats, vitamins in the represent proportion. Our indigenous means roti, dal, roti, pulse, vegetables is balanced meal. Like is a balanced food is a fruit also reproductive nourishment and infants. Mother milk provide all the nourishment that their needs. Iron bodies blood and iron rich food is simply vegetables. Cherries, meat, circus, and amlas and good adolescence. Check items for lunch and dinners in the meals. Eat a meal, balanced diet and nutrition. Nutrition in this current energy and milk means nutrition, pulse and develop proteins and growth in the energy and about the food. The chips and the packets of the tinned snacks to the very tasty. The never replace regular meals are not an important nutrition values. Personal hygiene. Every would have the bath and the list of the ones yesterday more sensitive for the together and the increased activity. Sweat glands sometimes make the body and the experience every day. Cleanliness of the not maintain their space by bacterial infection. Girls should be take special care of the cleaning during this menstruation follows. They follow keep the track of their menstruation cycle and are prepared for the onset of menstrual. Physical exercise, walking and playing fresh air keep body and fit healthy. Allowing young girls should be take walk, exercise and playing outdoor games. Say no to drugs. ड्रग के बारे में दिया हुआ है. Adolescence is prevented too much activity and the mind which normal parts of the growth so do not feel confused. Increase the anybody suggest you get relieve some drugs and say no unless and doctors keep the feel of aging. The again harms the long runs and healthy and happiness. You must have the AIDS which are dangerous as HIV and the various person or the infected persons by sharing of the sharing used infections of the joint consider milk the various transmitted within a person to third person. Adolescent pregnancy. We might go on contrary on the marriage economic every year so the body becomes the teen to create a physical pattern and the message in the program to the method of cancer. Women become capable for reproduction production of anti-poverty set of children between age of 11 to 12 and for the adolescence. Onset of poverty begins growth and reproduction organs. However, various encouraged to develop girls and facial hair, menstruation and periods. The puberty becomes by girls and adolescence. Children grants high during adolescence. Onset of puberty, maturity of reproduction parts control hormones secreted in the glands, which are the protective blood stimulants. The puberty and the hormones of which growth hormone comes. The hormones that makes the glands with such characteristics of his thyroid gland, adrenal gland secrete hormones, pancreas, insulin, thyroid produce thyroxine, and adrenal produce adrenaline. Testosterone is male hormones and estrogen is a female hormone. Uterine the female prepares itself to receive developing fertilized egg. In case of no fertilization, thickened in the uterine breakdown of the growth of the menstruation cycle. This is the hormone and the depend of the metazygote XX and XY chromosomes. Important to eat balanced food of the maintain personal hygiene during the adolescence. Iron in body is rich heavily on the मेटामॉर्फोसिस लार्वा टू एडल्ट में चेंज होना मेटामॉर्फोसिस कहते हैं. चलिए ये चैप्टर ख़त्म और नेक्स्ट चैप्टर में मिलते हैं.